The following video is not meant for kids. Viewer discretion is advised. Hello to my subscribers, this is the TFangy coming to you with what will hopefully be a successful double review. And today we're going to be taking a look at not one but two box sets of Transformers action figures, but they're from the same subline, and it is these two box sets right here, the two box sets from the Transformers Collaborative Street Fighter II crossover series. So in the first box set, we've got Transformers versions of the characters of Ryu and Bison from the Street Fighter II video game. These were released, I believe, back in either 2021 or 2022 for the 35th anniversary of the Transformers Street Fighter II video game. I apologize for not looking that up before starting to record the review, but yeah, you've got the logos for Street Fighter II and Transformers here on the top of the box, and then you've got the double 35th anniversary logo for both Street Fighter II and the Transformers. So, what makes these collaborative figures special is that rather than being brand new action figures, which is what we've gotten with most of the collaborative Transformers figures, such as Ectotron from Ghostbusters or Gigawatt from Back to the Future, just to name the first two collaborative Transformers figures that came out way back in, I believe it was 2018 when the first collaborative Transformers figures started to come out, or was it 2019? Either way, the point is, it's been we've seen quite a few collaborative figures since they started. And I believe it was 2019 for the 35th anniversary of Ghostbusters is when Ectotron was released, but a few years later we got, for the 35th anniversary of when Street Fighter II the video game was released, we got these collaborative figures. So instead of designing brand new figures, Hasbro and Takara Tomy took the existing action figures that had been released in the Titans Return line and decided to use them to make Transformer versions of the most well-known and popular characters from the Street Fighter II video game. I myself have never played Street Fighter II, but I did. There was an arcade console that had the video game aim at some of the arcades when I was a kid, and I'd see other people play the game, and I've seen video recordings here on YouTube where people have played the game. And Street Fighter II, some people have argued to this day that it's arguably the best of the Street Fighter video games, even though the graphics are dated compared to how they were when they were during the late 80s / early 1990s. But it is pretty great that they made Transformers action figures out of them. We've got Titans Return Optimus Prime and Megatron repainted into Transformer versions of Ryu, who's arguably the main character from Street Fighter II, the main hero, and we've got Megatron turned into Bison. So we got Bison, the main villain, arguably of Street Fighter II, as a Decepticon, and we got Ryu as an Autobot. These guys are, I believe, straight up repaints of the Titans Return figures, with the one parts retooled being the actual headmaster Transformers that transform into their heads. I believe they are supposed to be modeled after the human characters that they're from. And so here, packaged inside the box, we've got the Transformers action figures. These crossover figures were originally exclusively released in Japan by Takara Tomy, but after they sold well in the market and after demand from fans here in North America, they were then released by Hasbro. Initially, they were released in the United States exclusively at Target stores, or as most of the collaborative Transformers action figures have indirectly been released as exclusives, some at Target, some at GameStop. But I don't know if any of the collaborative Transformers figures have been released exclusively through Walmart, but some have been released on the internet. But yes, you've got the figures transformed into an action pose where Bison has just jumped through the air and he's about to smash into Ryu. And Bison, he's the final boss in the Street Fighter II video game, so it makes sense that he's repaints of Megatron, and Ryu arguably again is the main hero, so it makes perfect sense for him to be a repaint of Optimus Prime. So you've got them here on the side of the box. You've got product photos. You've got Ryu Optimus Prime, or Ryu Prime. I'm, as I call as I personally call him. You've got a image there of Ryu from the video game, and then you've got product images of the action figure. The Titans Return versions of Optimus Prime and Megatron are triple changers, so you've got robot mode in both alt modes. Then here on the bottom you've got Megatron and Bison, or Megabison as I call him, in his robot mode and his two alt modes. The two alt modes for Ryu Prime are a tanker truck and a tanker jet, and then the alt modes for Megabison are a tank and a fighter jet. On this side of the box you've got a image of all the characters from the Street Fighter video game. Aims not just the ones that were turned into Transformers characters, but all the characters from Street Fighter 2. So you got Street Fighter on this side, 2 on this side of the box, and then you've got Transformers on this side of the box. Same product photos here on the back of the box, where you've got Ryu Prime versus Megabison. And then here in the background image you've got Optimus Prime and Ryu having united here. And so the backstory that Takara Tomy came up with for the Street Fighter Transformers figures is that M. Bison, after losing to Ryu and losing the title of Championship Street Fighter for the world, he somehow discovered an opening to the Transformers universe, and after M. Bison and Megatron teamed up and figured that their powers combined together can make them both even more powerful. Ryu, along with the other two characters who entered the Transformers universe from Street Fighter, which are the ones in the other Street Fighter box set, which are Ken Hot Rod and Chun-Li Arcee, or Arlie or Chuncee as some fans have dubbed her, and Ken Rod or Hot Ken as some fans have called all the other figure here. They, along with Ryu, entered the Transformers universe, and they became headmasters for the Autobots, and M. Bison became a headmaster for Megatron. Oddly enough, Chun-Li, she didn't actually become a headmaster for Arcee, and that's one of the bittersweet ironies for the Chun-Li Arcee action figure. Instead of a repaint of Titans Return Arcee, it's a repaint of the Transformers Generations Thrilling 30 Arcee action figure. So Chun-Li Arcee is not being a headmaster. I believe that Arcee just copied Chun-Li's martial arts skill and downloaded it into herself, rather than Chun-Li becoming a headmaster for her. A lot of Transformers fans and collectors were kind of hoping that Titans Return Arcee would have been the figure that would have been repainted into Chun-Li to continue the gimmick for all the characters having headmasters of the Street Fighter characters. I can kind of see in the product photos why they went with Thrilling 30 Arcee, because the body proportions of her robot mode, putting it bluntly, are similar to Chun-Li, much more so than Titans Return Arcee. But I'll let you guys decide what you think of how Chun-Li and Arcee bonding their powers together, either to also take on the fight against Megabison. But here in the other box set, you've got Ken and Chun-Li, who are repaints. Ken is a repaint of Titans Return Hot Rod, and Chun-Li is a repaint of the Thrilling 30 non-headmaster version of Arcee. Just like the Ryu Prime and Megabison figures, they're packaged inside the box in a way that replicates a screenshot from the Street Fighter 2 video game, in which Chun-Li is backflipping into Ken and to try and take them out. So yeah, there they are there. I was originally just going to get the Ryu and M. Bison box set, but after watching the Street Fighter 2 cartoon movie that came out back in the early 90s, just 90s when the video game was at its most popular peak, I figured why not get both box sets. So yeah, I got the Ken and Chun-Li set as well. So there they are inside the box. Logos are all the same as they are on the M. Bison Ryu box. On this side of the box you got a product photo of the characters from Street Fighter 2, and I believe, yes, it is the same image used on the other box set as well. So you've got all the human characters from the Street Fighter 2 video game. Here on this side of the box you got product photos of the Transformers characters. You've got Hot Rod Ken in his robot mode and his alt mode, and then you got Chun-Li Arcee in robot mode and alt mode there as well. And then here on the back of the box, same product photos where they're now Autobots I can't decide what names I'd like more for them, to use more for them, if I should call these guys Hot Ken and Arlie, or if I should call them Kenra, Odd, and Chuncee. I might call all them Chung Arlie or Arlie, and I like the name Kenrod more than Hot Ken. But like I said, it's a case where the Transformers and the humans from Street Fighter 2 bonded and combined their powers, and now they're using it to not only now fight off Megabison, who's now become one of the most powerful Decepticons out there, now that he has the fighting skills of a human Street Fighter. Alright, so that's pretty much it. That's these guys that's inside the boxes, along with the action poses that they're in. You've also got their weapons stored here on the bottom, and in a bittersweet reality check, I lost the grammar to say, but it's kind of a bittersweet moment, but they come with the exact same weapons that the original Transformers figures that they're repainted from came with. And with Chun-Li comes with the same dagger swords that Arcee came with, and even the same laser pistols. N-Rod comes with the same dual laser guns that Titans Return Hot Rod came with, which when you store them in his alt mode, they just hang off the sides of the vehicle. And it's the same with Ryu Prime and Megabison. They come with the same swords and cannon weapons that the original figures came packaged with. So if you wanted to, you could if you have all of the Transformers figures that these guys are repainted from, ideally you could put them in here, and then you could have the Transformers characters standing in here doing the same action poses. I don't know if I haven't seen any photos where collectors actually did that, where they took the Titans Return Optimus Prime and Megatron and Titans Return Hot Rod and Thrilling 30 Arcee figures and put them and repackage them inside the Street Fighter boxes. But you could do that if you wanted to and have fun on seeing the regular Transformers action figures here inside the boxes. But with that said and done, that's pretty much these guys. One last look here inside the boxes. Really great action poses where you got one opponent about to charging straight over into another character to try and take them out. You got the other character in a fighting position where they're trying to fend them off. Inside the box, there's photographs of the characters from the Street Fighter video game inside the boxes, and there's actually interior boxes to these Arcees. This is the outside sleeve to it, which is the Hasbro packaging, and inside is the original Takara packaging. So Hasbro just made a larger box for the original to go over the original Takara Tomy release. So let's get these guys' outer boxes open and see what the interior boxes look like. Alright, so before we get to the actual unboxing with the exterior Hasbro boxes removed, here is the original Takara Tomy exclusive packaging. Inside the exterior, the Hasbro, when these, like I said at the start of the review, these figures were originally Takara Tomy exclusives, and then they were later released by Hasbro, so Hasbro's decision was to just put a slightly larger box over the original Takara box, showing the characters' names, the Street Fighter characters' names as they were known in North American markets, and so the original Takara Tomy box is underneath, so these action figures technically are packaged inside two boxes. The Hasbro box does not have a plastic window on it, so when you feel the plastic window on the Hasbro box on top, that's the same one here, so there's no double plastic windows on here. But you got the Street Fighter 2 and Transformers logo here from Takara Tomy on the top front section of the box. And in Japan, just like Optimus Prime is known as Convoy, M. Bison is known as Vega in Japanese markets. Oddly enough, Megatron and Ryu have the same name, so it's only Optimus Prime and M. Bison whose names are different in Japan. On the top of the box, you've got a screenshot here of all four of the Street Fighter Transformers action figures. You got Ryu, Ken, and Chun-Li ready to take the fight to Megabison. Bison, and the poses that they have here that they're in here on the top of the box are similar poses to what the characters do in the video games. And Bison always has his arms crossed because he's confident that nobody can defeat him in a street fight. Right, and then you got Ryu, Ken, and Chun-Li in their martial arts positions there as well. So that's really nice there. You got Takara Tome's logo up here on the box. Again, this was originally a Takara Tome exclusive, and then it was released by Hasbro due to popular sales in Japan and popular demand here in North America. So on this side of the box, you've got Ryu Prime or Envoy or Ryu Convoy in his robot mode, and then you got alt modes. You got Jet and Tanker Truck. On this side of the box, you've got Megabison or Megatron, going by his Japanese name, robot mode, and then both alt modes, Jet and Tank. And then here on the back of the box, you've got pictures of both Ryu and Bison or Vega with Optimus Prime or Convoy and Megatron here. And then you've got some readouts of their Street Fighter poses that the action figures can do that the Street Fighter characters were shown actually doing inside the Street Fighter video games. The pose that Ryu's packaged in is where he blasts energy at Bison, and then you can get them into the same Street Fighter positions the characters did as well. There you've got a color image of the box that had a colored image of version of the image that Hasbro put on their boxes, with a bio in Japanese explaining the story behind Street Fighter 2 and how they ended up in the Transformers universe. And then you got Ryu and Optimus Prime. I am combining their powers there as well. Unfortunately, everything here on the interior box is written in Japanese, so I unfortunately cannot read Japanese if my life depended on it. And so I apologize for not being able to do that. And then, of course, here on the bottom of the box, you've got the Transformers Street Fighter 2 35th Anniversary crossover logo again. Bunch of disclaimers written in Japanese as well. And that's pretty much it for the Ryu Prime, Iron Man, Megabison original Takara Tomy box. For the Ken and Chun-Li box, similar situation. You got the same image on the top of the box. And then you've got their Japanese names. Hot Rod is known as Hot Rodimus. This in Japan. Chun-Li and Arcee, ironically, still have the same names in Japan that they do in the United States. So I guess when Street Fighter 2 was imported from Japan to the U.S., Chun-Li's name was great enough that it wasn't changed for North American markets. And the reverse happened with Arcee. She was introduced to North American markets in the Transformers, the movie in 1986. When she was taken to Japan, they didn't alter her name either. One thing I noticed on the back of the box here that I didn't point out with Ryu Prime, Iron Man Megabison, is that they've got the flag. They've got little prints of the flags showing the countries or organizations that they represent. And Ryu represents Japan. Bison, I forgot what evil organization he's a part of. I believe Bison was supposed to be the strongest fighter of a terrorist group that was stationed, I believe, in the former Soviet Union, which later became Russia. But yeah, I believe Bison is supposed to be Russian. Here on the back of Ken and Chun-Li's box, it shows that Ken is from the United States, Chun-Li is from China. And then you got the same layout with the other box set, where the action figures you can get them into doing the same fighting poses that the characters do in the video game. And the modes and even the poses that they're packaged in represent their some of their most powerful fighting moves that they're capable of doing, which is really great. I can't remember if Chun-Li was a playable character in Street Fighter 2 or not. I believe she was. The only one of these characters that wasn't playable in Street Fighter 2 is Bison, because he's the main villain. So having the villain become the hero of the game. That's I guess even that was seemed ironic. Ironic being able to play the main villain as a playable character. But when all said and done, when it comes to popularity of the characters from Street Fighter II, arguably Ryu, Ken, Chun-Li, and Bison were the most popular of them all. Some people have argued that other characters such as Zangief, who's pictured on the top center of the box, were equally popular, but after designing these 4 figures, Hasbro and Takara decided that was enough Street Fighter characters done as Transformers. So whether or not we'll ever get the other characters from Street Fighter II as Transformers action figures, it's not likely at this point, considering these figures came out a few years ago. Oh, and some of the more recent collaborative Transformers action figures, I personally don't think that Hasbro and Takara have any interest in partnering with, making a registered trademark agreement with Capcom, the company that currently owns the rights to the Street Fighter video games. But yeah, that's the image of the interior boxes, which are the original Takara boxes. I think it was clever of Hasbro just to produce an outer box that just slid over the original Takara box to hide the fact that these were originally exclusively sold in Japan and then came to the United States a few months afterward. So, without further delay, let's finally get these guys out of the box and we'll take a close look at them in robot mode. Alright, so before we actually get into the actual figures, here is what I mentioned briefly earlier in the review, that the interior of the box has screenshots from the Street Fighter II video game. So here you've got the final boss level of Ryu versus Bison, or Vega as he's known in Japan, and he's launching an energy attack, and that's pretty much the action pose that the Ryu Prime figure is in. And inside the package, as you can see, they've already exchanged 83 knockout blows. So yeah, the final boss level of Ryu versus Bison, it's the longest and most difficult fight in the video game. And then, of course, here for the insert box, we've got Ken versus Chun-Li. So, as you can see, they've exchanged 21 knockout blows, and on the health bars, Ken has managed to put more punches on Chun-Li. On Ryu and Bison's screenshot, they're evenly matched. And from the playthrough videos I've seen here on YouTube, that's pretty much the case when you make it to the final boss level of Street Fighter II. So yeah, it's no joke trying to defeat Bison. I'm not going to edit that out. I was trying to move something. But anyways, now that we've gotten the boxes out of the way, let's hurry up and take a look at the figures and wrap up the review. Alright, so here are all 4 figures out of the box and transformed into their robot modes, and here they are in a Transformers style Street Fighter startup where the heroes are all about to face off against Megabison. So we got Ryu Prime, I'm Chuncee, and Ken Rod out here, and they're all pretty fantastic looking Transformers action figures. The fact that they're handheld, they all come with the same handheld weapons that the Transformers figures that they're repainted and retooled from the Titans Return line. It's a little redundant considering the fact that the whole point of the Street Fighter video games is that they use fists to fight each other, and it's hand-to-hand combat versus actual weapon use. But yeah, here they all are in their robot mode. I'm trying to get all of them on full frame here. I forgot my camera angle to set up the way I want it. But yeah, there are all 4 of them out of the box and in the robot modes. If you have the original Titans Return and Generations figure in the case of Arcee or Chuncee, if you have the figures that these 4 are all repainted and retooled from, then it's and they all have the same articulation in robot mode. The same action poses and the same headmaster gimmicks for the 3 Titans Return repaint figures. But yeah, I really love the paint jobs on these guys. They're really meant to look like the characters from Street Fighter. We've even got, for a close-up of Ryu Prime, you can see there's parts of him such as his fists, his chest, and his feet. They're painted in a flesh. They're painted in like a beige, fleshy color. Same with Ken. Same with Kenrod. And so their outfits almost match the same outfits that they have in the Street Fighter video game. Even here with Chuncee. So yeah, it's really incredible how they were able to make them look like they're wearing the same outfits that they did in the video game. And of course here's Megabison. They even painted his forehead to look like his hat, which is really nice. Nice his hands and everything. So yeah, pretty impressive paint jobs that these figures all have here. I won't go into articulation again because they're pretty much straight up repaints of the Titans Return figures. One thing I will show off though for the ones that are headmasters from the Titans Return line is that they are designed to be the actual Street Fighter characters. So removing Kenrod's Titan Master on here and bringing it in for a close-up shot. So there is Ken. And right there, and so the idea from the bio that Takara Tomy came up with these figures is that the Street Fighter characters, they actually become, at least for Ken, Ryu, and Bison, they become actual headmasters for Hot Rod, Optimus Prime, and Megatron, respectively. For some reason, Arcee and Chun-Li didn't do the headmaster bond. I don't know how their powers shapeshifted. If Chun-Li actually instead, she's riding inside Arcee's body, or Arcee just telepathically copied Chun-Li's fighting styles. But yeah, really impressive here with the headmasters. So there's Ken. Again, really nice paint job. They even painted his feet the same flesh color as his face and arms. So yeah, the tiny little Titan Masters are the actual Street Fighter characters. So it's as far as the Transformers aspect of these figures, when it comes to the Headmasters, it looks like Takara Tomy actually took the Hasbro route, where the actual Headmaster / Titan Master robots are separate beings that have their own names and identities from the larger robots whose heads they become. So yeah, there's M. Bison, or Vega there, now in a new robot body. I can kind of see why some fans were griping about the Chuncee figure not being the Titans Return version of Arcee, where we could have had a Chun-Li headmaster here standing beside Ken, Ryu, and M. Bison. But I can kind of see why why Takara Tomy went the route of repainting the Generations Arcee figure, and using this as Chun-Li, because her body proportions, especially her legs, are pretty spot on to how Chun-Li looks in the Street Fighter 2 video game. And I'll let you guys come to your own conclusions about that. One last thing I will point out before we actually start transforming the figures is that here on the back of Ken and Rod, he does have the Street Fighter 2 logo painted on his racing spoiler. So if there's any doubt that these are based on the characters from the Street Fighter 2 video games, then he's got that to advertise for all 4 of them. But yeah, there they are with their heads taken off. If you wanted to, I suppose you could use the Titans Return headmasters here for the larger figures. If you were interested in that. But oh yeah, overall pretty impressive looking. Megatron, as I said, the Ryu Prime and Megabison figures, they're triple changers, which was the gimmick with the Voyager class figures released in the Titans Return line back in 2016 and 2017. And so I'll show off both of their alt modes once we get these figures transformed. So that said, let's actually get down to the transformation and look at the alt modes for these guys, since these aren't just the Street Fighter characters, they are also now robots in disguise. Alright, and so here are all 4 of the Street Fighter Transformers transformed into their alt modes. For the Ryu Prime and Megabison, or Megatron on figures, I transformed them into the alt modes that are my least favorite for their modes. It's the Jet mode for the Titans Return Optimus Prime molds, my least favorite of the 2 alt modes. Same thing with Titans Return Megatron's tank mode. I prefer the Megatron Jet and the Optimus Prime tanker truck from the Titans Return line. Since I just feel that they're the overall superior alt modes for these 2 molds. Hot Rod or Ken Rod and Chuncee or Arcee. Since they're not triple changers, these are the only alt modes they possess. In alt mode, they all roll fairly well. In the Jet mode for the Titans Return Optimus Prime, it still uses most of the same wheels that it uses in truck mode. They all roll fairly well. Some of the QC issues, as you can tell, one of the weapons. The only weapon storage for the Ryu Prime's sword and cannon, well, it's not the only storage, but it's the only symmetrical storage spot where it looks where it gives symmetry for the alt, where you still retain symmetry in the alt mode, are these 2 little square pegs on the top portion of the cockpit that the actual Ryu figure right inside is that clear blue plastic underneath the cannon that matches the sword. There's 2 little square pegs on there, but it only doesn't want to hang on. It's just as bad as the Titans Return Optimus Prime figure was when I first bought it. Those of you with keen eyes will notice that I did mistransform the Jet mode. The official transformation, the truck cab just sits underneath the wings, just hanging there. I guess the designers didn't really have anything to do with it, but one thing that I did back in 2016 when the Titans Return Optimus Prime came out is I rotated the truck actor cab around so the wheels are sticking on the outside now. I know that might be a little unsightly, but the official transformation, you're supposed to have them facing this way. Like this, so you can see the truck is supposed to sit off like there. I know it might look like a square jet engine, and then lifting the wing up, but me personally, I think it makes the jet mode look slightly more aerodynamic, having it sit upside down. And then for the roof of the tractor cab section, what I do is I leave them flipped out like this, and they look like a pair of engine boosters sticking off the back of the jet mode. So this is just my little fan-made transformation for the jet mode for the Titans Return Optimus Prime mold. Just to make the jet mode look more aerodynamic and not have cab sections of a truck hanging off the back of it. But yeah, let me know down in the comment section what you guys think of this alternate transformation for that jet mode there. Another QC issue where a weapon doesn't want to hang on is right here on under Chuncee. Just like the Generations Arcee figure, her laser gun is supposed to officially store. There's even sculpted detailing where the gun's supposed to store like this, but as you can see, with very little effort it wants to pop off. So that's the main gripe I have with the Chuncee figure, is that her weapon storage, it's not as great as the original Generations Arcee figure is, but it is doable. And you have 2 options where you can store her dagger weapons. You can either have them stored here on the side, which I think makes her look more streamlined, or if you want, you can peg them into a pair of rectangular pegs here, and then you can have them hanging up here off the back of her. Again, it's all personal preference. Technically, you're supposed to combine the laser guns for the Ken Rod mold, and then there's 2 little notches carved here at the base of the windshield, which you're supposed to combine it and have it be a dual barrel laser cannon. But just like the original Titans Return Hot Rod figure, when I tried to put these together and then tried to take them apart, it felt like I was going to break them, and I was worried that I did break them. These laser guns are even more fragile than Titans Return Hot Rod was, because they're done in I believe I don't know what the base plastic is, if it's supposed to be regular red, and then they did a layer of like crimson red paint and to make it shiny and metallic on it. But yeah, and I do not recommend, even for a moment, combining the two laser guns for the Ken Rod figure. I know that's a gimmick where the laser guns turn into hover chairs that the Titan Masters can transform into, but that is just definitely something I highly do not recommend. So this is the best weapon storage for Ken Rod, where you have the laser guns just kind of hanging off the back. You can flip them forward and have it look like he has two cannons sticking off the side, but I like to have them facing backward, where they can double as a pair of additional rocket boosters, along with his 6 tailpipes that he has there. And then, of course, there's the Street Fighter II logo there on the racing spoiler, which is a nice touch. Ryu Prime in jet mode, he has some letters written right here. I don't know if that's supposed to be Ryu's name in Japanese or Chinese, but again, there's some writing on there. There is the same symbol on Chuncee's. Her robe carries over to the hood of the vehicle mode, which incorporates the Autobot logo right there, which is really nice. As far as I can tell, the faction symbols for Ryu Prime, Ken Rod, and Megabison, they're done in the Autobot and Decepticon logos. They're either done between all 4 figures, either in yellow paint, which is the case for Chuncee, and Megabison, there's his Decepticon logo there on the cockpit that the Titan Master rides in tank mode. And this is why tank mode is my least favorite of the 2 alt modes for the Titans Return Megatron mold. The cockpit that the Titan Master sits in, it prevents the cockpit from going down all the way, and the Titan Master is just kind of sitting there on top, totally exposed. Those which in real life tank drivers aren't exposed to enemy artillery. But that's just minor nitpicks with me personally. But yeah, overall, pretty impressive looking here, and and this is where the Transformers aspect comes into play with the actual transformation into the different alt modes between these figures, since it's only in robot mode where they shine brightest as the characters from the Street Fighter video games. But overall, they're pretty nice repaints of the previously released Transformers action figures. One thing to note is that, and I'm hoping I don't have her mistransformed, but on the Chuncee action figure, only 3 of her wheels touch the ground, not all 4 of them do. And that's partially due to the low clearance space that she has underneath her alt mode. This is the official way the underside of her is supposed to be transformed. So there's a hairline of clearance here, so she is not going to be able to go off-road driver fighting anytime soon. But yeah, overall, I'm repeating myself. So I will say this, I do enjoy how all these action figures look in their alt modes. And when I say all the alt modes, I mean all of them. But as nice looking as the jet mode for Ryu Prime and the tank mode for Megabison are, I prefer the jet mode for this figure and the tanker truck mode for this figure here. I just think that these are the ones that are the better versions of these molds. And yes, I did transform Titans Return Megabison correctly. If you look right here on the tank turret, there's 3 little circular knobs sculpted in right here, and those are supposed to be the wheels of the jet mode. So unlike the Ryu Prime figure, which uses the truck wheels for the jet mode as well, there's non-functioning wheels on the tank turret that allow the jet mode to stand upright for the Megabison figure. But yeah, overall, they're a pretty fun group of Transformers action figures to have. And there's new Autobot logos revealed here on the Ryu Prime here that are done in the similar gold color as the faction logos for the other Transformers figures. And then, of course, for Megabison, I apologize for not showing it off on Ryu Prime's wings, but he does have tiny black Autobot logos on the wings of his jet mode. And then, of course, Megabison has the symbols of the organization that he's a part of. I apologize for not looking up the name of the organization that M. Bison represents. And so, yeah, he's got symbols of it on the wings of his jet mode. So yeah, overall pretty nice looking Transformers figures. One nice thing that Chuncee has in her alt mode is that the steering wheel's covered in a layer of paint, so it does stand out more. And unlike the Titans Return urn figures, where the weapons are made out of crystal clear plastic, the weapons here are clear plastic also, but they're more of a matte finish to them, so they aren't crystal clear like the Titans Return urn Transformers figures were. But yeah, overall a pretty fantastic looking group of Transformers characters. So swapping these two here, so they're standing next to the figures they come packaged with. So for the final proverbial question of the review, do I recommend getting the Transformers Street Fighter Collaborative Transformers action figures and adding them to your collection? I will say this: I only recommend getting these figures if you're fans of both the Transformers and the Street Fighter 2 video game. If you aren't necessarily a fan of either, and of both of them, and you're a fan of just one franchise, then they're a nice little niche group of action figures that you can add to your collections. If you're strictly a fan of Street Fighter 2, but you've always wondered what it would be like if the characters from Street Fighter 2 were Transformers and they had the ability to transform into vehicles and possessed weapons, so they didn't just use their fists and martial arts skills to fight each other, then these are definitely recommended if you're strictly a fan of Street Fighter 2. And if you're strictly a Transformers fan, but you've never really been into the Street Fighter 2 video games, these are still pretty fantastic looking repaints of the Titans Return and Generation and Thrilling 30 Transformers figures that came out. And as far as making the Transformers action figures that are characters from Street Fighter 2, and the reverse of that, turning characters from Street Fighter 2 into Transformers, I think Takara Tomy and Hasbro did a fantastic job with these figures. So to answer my own question, do I recommend getting these figures? Yes, I do. You cannot go wrong having these figures around. And like I said, if you don't collect Transformers action figures, or if you don't collect action figures at all, and you're just into video games like Street Fighter 2, then there's still a nice little collection of Street Fighter characters done as Transformers to have in your collection. And again, being repaints of the Titans Return, Optimus Prime, and Megatron figures, Ryu Prime and Megabison have the advantage of triple changers. But again, I prefer the jet mode for Megabison because him having the ability to fly, it gives him a slight advantage over the other Street Fighter characters having to be ground-based vehicles instead of aerial combat vehicles, so it looks like he's swooping down to attack them all. But yeah, that's just a fun little thing you can do with them if you desire. So bringing them in for one last group shot in alt mode. So thank you guys all so much. This has been the TFangy. This has been my double review of the two Transformers collaborative Street Fighter 2 35th anniversary action figures, Ryu Prime versus Megabison, and the other 2-pack of Kenrod versus Chuncee. I highly recommend getting these figures if you can. And like I said, they came out several years ago, so the only place to get them is on the aftermarket. I got these guys off of Amazon.com last year in 2024. They were going for above what they originally went for when the Hasbro released them at Target stores here in the US. But I felt for the price I paid for them that it was worth it. So thank you guys all so much, and until next time, you guys, this has been the TFangy. Please remember to stay safe, stay healthy, transform, and roll out. Goodbye, everyone.